welcome everyone to Spark the Genius, the show. I am Spark the Genius, the host, and I'm here to spark the genius within you. And we've got quite the genius here for you today. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, you can see that we are in a restaurant. This is Fran's Diner in Toronto. For those of you who are listening, trust me on this one. So today's guest is, who are you?
I am Missy, and I'm a singer for Toronto-based prog rock band MNTCLR.
Yes, spelled MNTCLR.
Yeah.
No vowels.
No vowels, yeah.
I keep thinking Montclair, and I'm like, no, it's Mont Blanc, that's a pen. I wonder what else a Montclair is. We can get it. I don't know. Do you even know?
Yeah, to my knowledge, it was just kind of a name that stuck from some inside joke in high school with our guitarist. So.
Well,
yeah.
I'm sure he'll be telling it on the Tonight Show one
yeah,
day.
Hopefully.
Like, hilarious Montclair. And
yeah.
It's one of those things that probably seemed hilarious in grade 8 or something. And
yeah, probably.
You'll be looking back and going, why was that funny? I don't know. Actually, yeah, my comedy troupe had a weird name that you had to explain every time, and it's like, I don't even know. I don't even think it's politically correct these days. So, let's see. So, yes, you are... yes, quite the impressive person. So you said you were the singer for a band. Yes, okay.
Yes.
You're also doing other stuff like taking
Yes.
STEM and all of that. So you're a very busy person. Mm-hmm. But we did actually just talk while I was eating my big breakfast here at Fran. So I learned the whole story. Sometimes in the interviews, I'm like, learning it for the first time. I'm like, what? But this time it could be different because it's almost like I've done research. And I know what to ask, almost. I guess... Yeah, it changes the way you do an interview, because now I'm like, well, I already know the story. Why would I ask anything? But because there's people listening and stuff. So let me try to think of the interesting way. Well, it's an amazing... do you want to tell the quick history of what you've studied and what prepared you for the music stuff you're doing, and then we'll get to how you got into the band?
Yeah, so I started in music lessons fairly young. I was 2 or 3, and I did some music lessons up north with a Conservatory Canada certified teacher, did some local music festivals around the area.
Oh, really? So were you they would have the Timmins Potato Fest or something, and you'd be up there on the stage singing a Miley Cyrus song or something?
No, it was more, I did live in a smaller town further up north as well for a good portion of growing up. So I did the music festival in Kapuskasing. And that was more just kind of Conservatory Canada songs judged by a Conservatory Canada adjudicator.
Oh, wow. So
and then branched off to some bands in high school and some local kind of music festivals. Nothing massive though. But
oh, cool. So literally a garage band, were people in the garage playing and singing?
Yeah, pretty much.
So cool,
yeah.
That's my dream. Was that fun?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was with some of my closest friends in high school, all of which were incredibly talented musicians as well, much like the people I'm working with now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was usually just someone's garage or someone's basement.
And what do you do with that? Do you film it and put it on YouTube? Do you play at the school dance or
Yeah, we played we played concerts for the school a lot of the time.
That's so fun. Did people think were they impressed with you? Oh my God, you're like a rock star.
We'd play for the primary schools a lot. So they would be like, oh my goodness, rock stars. But
right.
Yeah,
they don't know what's going on.
Yeah, pretty much. They're they didn't know we were just a bunch of friends in high school,
Yeah, that's so cool. But the Beatles were just friends in high school, so
yeah, fair enough.
That's basically it. Okay, so then I guess is that your life then, and then you just came to Toronto?
Yeah, I moved to Toronto in September actually to pursue a major in chemistry and psychology at U of T. So.
Yeah, and that's just a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
So. They don't do grade 13 anymore, right? So it's
No.
just 4 years of high school, and then here you are?
Yeah.
Okay. And then were you planning to do music while you were here, or you're just okay, I'm coming to do my psychology stuff?
I was kind of hoping I'd find some sort of musical outlet. I was thinking more kind of jamming with people on campus, not joining an actual established band.
Yeah.
Yeah, that plan changed fairly quickly. About
Right.
6 days after I moved, actually.
6 days. I was saying, you were slacking off. You waited almost a week to be in a band.
Yeah, I know, crazy.
So that was was it Frosh Week, or what were you doing here?
I went out to see a small local band at a dive bar, an all ages dive bar, out on Dundas, and ended up getting along really, really well with the opening band. And we jammed together a couple of weeks later, and ta-da.
But okay, that was like the Elton John part of the story?
Yeah, so the way I ended up at that bar was I met a busker outside of an Elton John concert, and
you were late for the show, so you missed him sing
Yeah.
Benny and the Jets, which is the opening thing, but then you saw this busker sing Benny, and you're like, oh, the same song, and it's like, this is fate, I should be listening to this busker sing.
Yeah,
you know?
so I sat around and listened to him play the same 3 songs over and over for about 45 minutes. We chatted a bit while he was packing up, and he was like, hey, I have this show at an all-ages bar, you should come out. And I did. I'm not sure why I did it, because I didn't know the area very well at the time.
Just come to this dark, weird area with me.
Yeah, come out to the junction and see this show. And I was like, okay, seems fine.
Sounds like a great plan, yes.
Yeah, and I got there like really, really early and ended up grabbing some fries with the opening band. Quickly became good friends with Montclair's drummer's girlfriend, Esmeralda. Yep. And we hung out, jammed together a bit, and she was like, hey, I need to get the guys back. They are in a different band, not the one that was opening for the Buskers band. And they're looking for a lead singer. I think you'd be a good fit. And so we jammed, and a few weeks later, we played a gig together. So.
And there it is. And
yeah,
because you guys wound up hanging out all night in like the basement of a
the basement of my dorm.
Right.
Yeah, we have a music room that's fairly soundproof, so we're allowed to play piano like at all hours in there and sing to our heart's content. So we hung out there till like very, very late on a Saturday, and that's when I was asked to play a show with Montclair, the band that I'm in now.
Yeah. And then that was your first performance in Toronto at Lee's Palace, and you were saying, you know, it's a legendary place. I used to live around there, and Nirvana played there in 1990 before they blew up, and you outsold what they sold there.
Yeah, so we were on the same bill as some local bands. So there was Zoe Starra, Astral Bell, and Red Handed Denial also on the bill. And in pre-sale, we had sold over 100 tickets more than there were people in attendance at Nirvana's show at the same venue in 1990, which was crazy because the day of the show was actually 2 months to the day of me moving to Toronto.
Yeah.
And it's been a wild ride.
That's crazy. I don't know. I'm always like, when you hear about things, I'm like, what have I done for the past 2 months? Like, I don't know. What have I done for the past 2 years? Not much. So
I actually, I went out to this busker. His name is James. He's in a really, really good band.
The busker guy. Was this the original busker?
Yeah, the original busker.
Originally I was thinking, is he part of the band? No, he had nothing to do with any of this.
No, he was the main ticket, and 2 of the members of the band that I'm in were a part of the opening act, which is a different band. Yeah.
That's so crazy. And it's funny that, it's like in Toronto you have this busker outside singing Elton John, and then he goes to be the main draw for a show, like an hour later kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's what people do. That's how this works.
And I actually went to another one of his shows a few weeks before the Lee's Palace show, and he recognized me. He was like, hey, like, how you doing, Missy? And I was like, yeah, I'm good. I was like, I have a lot to thank you for, actually.
Yeah.
And he kind of laughed at the fact that, he's been doing shows with various bands in Toronto for years, and, new kid who just moved 2 months ago is playing Lee's Palace. And
he's only a little jealous. Yeah.
I don't.
Whatever, but now he knows you, so now it's like one of those things where you're like buddies with the person before they're famous, and I can be like, hey, no, I'm down.
We're hoping to split a bill with that band actually in the future, like probably definitely at a smaller venue than Lee's, because they can't all be 450 capacity venues.
Right. That's nice of you to let him play with you guys. It'll be like one of those things. I think I was watching a clip of like One Direction on YouTube or something, and there was somebody that like went to high school or like an old friend of Harry Styles or something, and he's picking him out in the audience going, hey, you, and the kids, like, I just imagine I was that person, and then the big band like points at you and says, that would, so you're going to do that to that guy.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that it's letting them play with us.
No, I'm just joking around.
Yeah, I respect them a lot as musicians, and I've been to like a few of their shows actually since moving here. I quite enjoy their music, which was another lucky event to follow that meeting of the busker. So
imagine you have to keep going to their shows and you hate the music, and oh god, not this again, please, no. Sometimes I've been going to some some open mics to play my own songs lately and stuff. And yeah, sometimes like most people are amazing, and some people are like, what is this? What are they doing? Same thing at comedy and stuff. But I just love when anybody is just going up and trying something on stage. Like I never want to judge. I don't want to be judged. It's like, listen, it takes so much courage to just go up and do anything. And it's just sharing your stuff with the world, and it inspires other people to try it and stuff. So it's just amazing. And it's much easier to sit on the sidelines and make, critique others or whatever.
Yeah.
Rather, oh, really? Are you doing it yourself? No? Okay. Then I don't want to hear.
Yeah, I definitely believe that, anyone who wants to do music can. It's just a matter of, practice and, not being afraid to make mistakes. So
you got to do that.
Open mics are a good place for that, definitely.
They're amazing. I walked past a sign that said open mic a couple of weeks ago, and I walked in, and I was like, just so inspired by everyone. I'm like, I'm going to do this too. And I went and got my guitar tuned up, and I'm like, why have I not picked this up in years? Like, I just loved playing and stuff. And there was a woman on stage who's like, hey, she was the featured act of the night, and she was saying, during the pandemic, she was just like, I'm going to learn guitar. And she did it, and then she's writing songs, and she's like, I'm 54 now, and I'm up here, and I'm on Spotify, and I'm like, good for her, right? So it's like, just, get it out there. I love it. So very inspiring. So then, you had your big show, and I was just watching some clips of it, and it's prog rock, right?
Yeah.
What does that stand for? Progressive?
Yeah.
So which kind of means, special effects and sound effects, and like we're so dramatic and interesting and different
lots
kind of thing.
Lots of pedals going on, lots of fun time signatures, and lots of strange beats.
Yes, and some of it is math rock, you were telling me?
Yeah. So math rock is kind of a nerdy music person term. It just basically means really complex time signatures. So where you'd have like a normal song that's like in 4/4, so 4 beats per measure, so 1, 2, 3, 4.
But I still haven't found
exactly.
I'm looking for. I can play that.
We'll have like some really strange time signatures, like 6/5 or 5/4, or like.
So what would that sound like if I'm playing like I still haven't found? Like what would be a 6/7? It'd be I still.
Honestly, I'm not the best at time signatures. I'm much more of a learn by ear person.
Right, so you don't even know what you're doing. You just hear it.
Yeah,
you do it
no,
properly.
I just kind of go with it, and I'm like, okay, the beat kind of changed here, so I'll go along with it. But it is quite complex. Like that's something that you have to like sit and listen to try to figure out.
Yeah, and then it's like a caterpillar trying to go, which legs are going first, and then you can't even do it anymore. Don't overthink it. And that's kind of like what I've learned in screenwriting too, because it's like there is, you learn in class, okay, in the first act you have to introduce this character and this and this and that, and then the third act, and then halfway through this act, so this has to happen. But then I'm like, you know what? Like that's not necessarily the way to write something. Like you should have those things, but I think naturally people, if you're half decent, you're writing a story, it sort of follows those things anyways. Or even if it doesn't, you just write it. Don't worry too much about the stuff. So like with music, I guess music's more complicated, but you don't have to be like, oh, is this a 6/7? It's like, what, if it sounds good, if it feels good, just do it. I'll bet a lot of big singers couldn't even tell you, the nitty-gritty details of what it is.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to brush up on some of my music theory, but I work with some incredibly talented musicians, and like they're very good at time signatures, and thank goodness, because it would be impossible for them to play our music if they weren't. So.
Yeah, and you want to be, you can leave the complex stuff to them. Like when I started university, there was a few people that played really good guitar, and they showed me some chords, and there was this guy Kevin who he helped me record some songs in the bathroom, like for good acoustics, and he was like, he did all this crazy stuff, but he would show me, okay, here's a chord. I'm like, oh, and he'd be like, wow, you can write a whole song with that chord. I'm like, yeah, I'm just doing it, kind of thing. But I would let him do all the complicated stuff, and I'll be like, here's my little love song lyrics I wrote to that, and you can add your jazzy prog rock, math, all that nonsense to it, and whatever. Everybody's got their specialty, and you can keep learning and stuff too, right? You gotta just keep figuring it out. And so you've just done it backwards. You're like, okay, I'm in a band now. I'm famous. I'm singing things. Maybe I should learn music.
I do know a fair bit, but definitely haven't been using it in a while. So.
Yeah, that's fine. You got time. So that's cool. And so how do you how do you balance it all? Like, you're going to school, you're doing STEM, you're in a band, you're all this stuff, and it's been 2 months only. And what would be your tip to people who are like, oh, I can't get anything done? Like, if I get one thing done in the day, I'm like, wow, good for me, kind of thing. But you're like,
yeah, I have some of those days myself, but honestly, I just kind of I've adopted the attitude of if I don't do it now, I'm probably still not going to do it later. And I did have a short period of time where I kind of let things accumulate and then I had to scramble. And it's just better to try to kind of take it a day at a time, do what you need to do now and not think too far ahead, but still have some forethought.
Yeah, that's right. It's a good balance, and it's you can't get overwhelmed with everything, and just there's only so much you can do in the day, but just do it. Like, and it's true that I'm always like, maybe I'll do my taxes later or whatever, but it's like you're not going to want to do it more later. Just do it now, and it's done. Check it off. Whatever you need to be doing, like write your short film or your song.
Yeah, it does also help that I have like a 2-hour car ride to go to our rehearsals, so I kind of
right. So what can you get done in the car? Like, can you work in the car, or you write stuff?
I'll do like a lot of readings for my classes, or if I have like an essay to write that I don't need like outside sourcing, I'll do that.
How do you write it? Like with a pencil, or are you like typing?
No, I type.
You got your laptop there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of just sit in the back seat and let everyone else kind of talk.
That's good.
And,
well, see, that's brilliant too, because I mean, if you've got 2 hours, that's 2 hours. So I mean.
Yeah.
You can get, like, instead of like, I'm just going to watch Netflix for 2 hours or something. I listen to this podcast, James Altucher, and he's always talking about, people are like, well, how do you write a book? Like, I don't have time to write a book. He's like, really? Well, how about you don't watch Game of Thrones, and now you've got 85 hours to write a book or whatever, right? Enough. So, would you say that you're productive in the sense that you're always sort of working on something and you don't waste time just watching movies or like binge watching series or whatever, because that'll suck time?
I definitely do some of that as well. Because everyone needs a break eventually. You can't always be doing something. But like a lot of the times when I am watching a show or whatever, I'll put it like in the background while I'm doing homework.
Right.
So
just sort of let it. I've been reading lately that people say they can multitask, but you really can't. You can't focus on two things at once. But I guess it was just sort of background hum or whatever.
Yeah.
I listen to podcasts and I fall asleep. So I'm like,
like if I'm watching Family Guy, that doesn't require a ton of attention to begin with. No. So it's good homework noise.
That's great. So what's coming up? You had your big, you beat Nirvana at Lee's Palace, and what's coming up for Montclair?
So right now Montclair's kind of taken a bit of a break from shows. We're working on some new music at the moment. We are looking to book some shows in January and February, and hopefully our project that we're working on is going to be done by then, so we'll be able to showcase some of our new sounds.
Yeah. I wonder how much of the band, because some bands could just sort of play for YouTube or Spotify, like just record it like at home and like film it and post it. They don't necessarily have to do shows, or they can't even get shows. Do you think you're mostly a show band, or are you going to be like also working on studio stuff? Or
we are going to be doing both. Right now we are focusing more on the studio side of things versus shows, but we do have some inquiries for shows for later on, early 2023. But right now we're focusing on studio because we are hoping to get some new professionally recorded projects out sooner than later.
Makes sense, because usually I guess a band would be playing shows to promote their albums. Like, I love this band. Where can I buy the thing or listen to the song? Oh, well, we haven't done those yet. So it's like, well, now what do you want me to do, right?
Yeah.
And also, you've only been with them for 2 months, so you might as well sit down and maybe you'll inspire new things they're writing or whatever.
Yeah, we're definitely writing a lot right now, and we're hoping to book some shows to promote our new project.
And I would say winter, especially very cold today. Like this is a good time to hunker down and be in the studio and stuff. It's not as much fun. You're not going to be playing outdoor festivals during.
No, absolutely not.
So
not in Canada anyway.
So get your stuff. You'll take off on TikTok or whatever, and then when summer hits, you're like, hey, we're here at Lollapalooza or whatever
That would be cool.
I was on a plane. I flew to LA a few months ago for VidCon, and on the way back, I was sitting next to this guy, and I was just like, hey, I started talking to him a little bit. I'm like, do you want to interview you? And so we did like a 2-minute interview for TikTok or whatever. But he's in a band called, what was it? It's some sacrilegious name. Was it like, I don't know. It's kind of, what did he call it? It was a death metal or something. Okay. That wasn't even that. It was something like that though. It's all like Antichrist and crazy stuff. But he's a very sweet guy and just teaches guitar and everything. And what was he saying? I think his girlfriend was like, I don't know, you're going to meet girls. He's like, no, have you seen the people who come to our shows? It's not girls. It's like, whatever. But I was like, is it fun though? Like playing a festival? He's like, it's amazing. You got to, it's like, that would interest. I don't know. I think it'd just be so cool. Because you go to a music festival as a viewer, and you're like, oh, this is fun, we're partying and stuff. But to be on the stage, like to be part of it and talk to the other bands and know that you're going for a purpose and to travel and stuff. So I hope you have that kind of thing. I'm sure you will in the future, and then you travel with a purpose kind of thing. And be like,
I mean, the dream is Massey Hall, which, funny enough, we can see like through the windows here.
I'm gonna turn it around and show people. There it is, kind of thing.
Massey Hall, right across the street.
That's where she'll be soon, and then people can watch this video and go, oh my God, that was her. Like, I think they've got, people show like, there's some tweet that Ed Sheeran did a few years ago saying, watch me, I've got big plans or something, and then he actually did it. So it's like fun to see beforehand.
Yeah, that's the dream. Definitely festivals as well. That I feel like that would be a lot of fun. But the dream right now is Massey Hall, and I feel like with a bit of luck and enough hard work, we can.
Sure.
I think we can make it happen someday.
Absolutely. I mean, and a lot of it's connections too. I guess. I don't know. So we'll start schmoozing, and obviously you're meeting people, and I mean you're slacking a bit. It's already been 2 months, and you're not playing there. But,
I know.
Whatever. You can pick up the paces.
Yeah.
Has it always been your dream to sing and be famous and be on stage and all that?
I actually, you know what? I don't adore the attention that comes with performing.
Oh yeah.
Like I actually got the comment from quite a few musicians that I've worked with in various projects that I don't have the lead singer syndrome. Because a lot of the times people will be like, oh, like all eyes on me at all times.
Yeah, they're very vain. Yeah.
Nothing,
and that's how bands break up too. So.
Yeah, nothing against people who are on that side of things, but I think that it's important for bands to like have everyone have somewhat of an equal spotlight. So rock star might not be the best thing. I have like the best term to describe the dream for me, but I have always wanted to pursue music. Like I've been doing it basically since I could talk. So if I could make a career out of it, that would be
sure. Would you give up
ideal.
Because you're going to work in research and mental health and drugs and stuff like that. Would you? I wonder. Well, it's hard to decide now. It's good to have both plans.
Like I definitely want to finish my bachelor's at least, and have that going for me. But if it came down to going into research or psychology or having the opportunity to play like at the ACC or that would be a fairly easy choice for me.
If I could give, I don't know, I would say you can do both. I mean, who knows? I don't know if you two could tour if they were also teaching or something. But what I've learned from comedy and music is like almost all of it you can sort of do in the evenings or whatever.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing something else, then you're a full-time comedian and you're relying on it for money and you're hustling. Even then, you're going to have some other kind of crappy job. So you might as well have a good job that's actually impressive. And I think it's almost more impressive to be like a psychology professor or whatever, or researcher that they've got a band in the evening. Like what?
Yeah.
Like it'd be cooler to be a PhD who does some stand-up rather than I'm just a guy doing stand-up, right? And school, it's such a magical time when you're learning and you're around smart people, and so I would say the longer you can stay in it, the more like you never go back. Like I wish I interviewed a girl at U of T this morning, and I'm like, oh my God, just being on campus and around these beautiful old buildings, and she had like these books in the library in the dorm that were like hundreds of years old. I'm like, there's nothing like that in the world. So stay in that environment, research as much as you can, do your ACC on the side, and see where it goes. Because also, I mean, even look at Kim Kardashian, like she's going back to school for law school and stuff. So even somebody who's got billions of dollars still wants a purpose and to do something impressive. You don't want to just be Madonna, like losing your mind and nobody really wants to see you and you're trying to just get attention. It's like, well, if you've also got a job, you can fall back on that, right? So
yeah. I mean, I went to see The Offspring at the ACC a couple of weeks ago, and they're actually all doctors except for like one of the members. So they all have PhDs, and that was something I didn't know about them prior to seeing the show. But it would be cool someday to be like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm a PhD, and by the way, I'm singing at Massey Hall and ACC. Very cool. And so it's a Sunday. Like, what did you? you know, what a day in the life of Missy? Like, what did you do today? Were you working on your music or you're studying?
Both, actually. Yeah, I did some readings for some classes I have, studied a bit, did some music stuff in between, talked to the band a lot. Or because we're working on new music at the moment, we have like a group chat, and it's pretty constantly being flooded with ideas. So, you know, I'd study, and then on my breaks I'd like catch up with that and kind of throw in my 5 cents.
Fun.
Yeah, definitely a lot of fun.
What platform do they do the group chat in? Like on Facebook or something?
Instagram.
Instagram, okay.
Yeah.
And then what would be your input kind of thing? Like if Tyler's like, I've got all this stuff, like what do you say? I would make that a different chord, or like here's some lyrics, or like how do you contribute?
It's usually more for like vocal melody that I contribute. I am actually doing some lyrics for a couple of the instrumental tracks that we have at the moment. Those are still very rough ideas right now. But we all kind of pitch in, like maybe like we'll add suggestions, like, you know, maybe like the rhythm here is not the best, or like maybe change this in the melody, or
sort of a group thing.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely strong on feedback and kind of working together. And
that's great, because it's very hard. Like I had a comedy troupe, and once egos get involved, like, oh, I want to have more of my skits in it, or I'm going to date your girlfriend or your ex-girlfriend, and then it all falls apart.
Fair enough.
And I was at a karaoke night last night, and I just reading the lyrics like that I never thought of for songs. I'm like, oh my god, lyrics, like most of them are they're just ridiculous. Like it's almost like once it's to music, almost anything sounds fine, so you don't have to overthink the lyrics. What was this one song they were singing? It was like take a chance on me, but then I was looking at the lyrics, it's like, you know, if you're sitting alone and you know, you're on the phone, like I'm like, wait, I started to look at the lyrics, I'm like, this is ridiculous, what is this about? But it sounds good when you're singing it. So there you go. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And have you been interviewed before? Can I say you're on your first?
Unfortunately, no. I have been interviewed before, but
this is the best interview though, like the most fun.
Yes, it's my first YouTube interview.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. That's a first.
Well, wait a minute. What are the other ones? Like television and radio?
Radio, radio.
I feel like this is a downgrade, but no. Not everybody can. Well, everybody can have a YouTube channel. All right. Well, fine. Whatever. Hope you. Well, I've been on the radio too. I'm kind of like a radio guy, so maybe this will wind up on the radio. Whatever. Maybe we'll be co-hosting a radio morning show one day.
Maybe.
Missy and Spark. I like it. And Missy's your real name, and you just happen to have a cool name.
That's my name. Yeah.
Are you gonna go by like Missy, like one word, like Madonna kind of thing? Is that gonna be?
Probably. Yeah.
That's a good way to do it.
That's how we've been doing it. Yeah.
Excellent. Alanis, Missy, Pink, Sting, and Missy. There we go. All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.